and it went like this. Say, oops, I got 99 problems singing bye, bye, bye. Hold up, if you wanna go and take a ride with me, better hit me, baby, one more time. Paint a picture for you and me on the days when we were young.
So the reason I wanted to talk about this is because the beginning of December I went off birth control, so I've been off of it for about 6 months now. I wanted to talk about like my experience going off of it and my experience while I was still on it, and like my thoughts on birth control. So I was taking birth control because I was having horrible pains like when I wasn't on my period, and so I thought it was like ovulation pain, middle schmers. I still think it is, but now I'm kind of thinking I might have endometriosis, but because I'm like having pains and issues, but I'll talk about that once I get that figured out. I went off of it because I just kind of wanted to see like what would happen if I went off of it, basically. So when I was on birth control, okay, no, I'm gonna rewind. So I don't know if it was my sophomore or junior year, it might have been my junior year of high school, and I went to an OBGYN, which is, you know, female doctor and stuff, and it was a guy that I went to. The first doctor that I went to was a guy. I thought I would be very uncomfortable, but I mean, I was still like nervous and whatever, but the doctor that I went to, he was so nice, and he made me feel like so like calm, I guess is the word I'm looking for, like not stressed. I wasn't stressed one bit. The one thing that kind of annoys me is the fact that nobody ever told me what birth control actually did. All I knew was, oh, it's gonna help. It's, you know, hormones that are gonna like regulate your periods or whatever. I didn't know that technically it's not a period that you have when you're on birth control. Like it's like technically not a period and stuff. Like, I don't know, you go do research, I don't remember everything, but like, yeah. And basically I said like, oh, I think I have middle schmers, and I'm pretty sure, I think when I first went in, some of the even doctors and nurses were like, what? Like, what are you talking about? And I was like, shouldn't you know, you're the doctor? But whatever. Well, he just put me on like the basic birth control. I think it was like, I don't even remember. I've been on so many. I think it's like Yaz or something, I don't know. But I got put on that. I was on that for like maybe 4 months, and it wasn't working for me. I went off of that, changed to another one. I was on that one for about the same amount of time, because when you take birth control you have to take it for, I think it said it was like at least 4 to 6 months or something, because you have to like be able to see if it like works or whatever. So I took birth control for almost 2 years. So I think I tried maybe 4 or 5 different ones. So then I tried another one, and then tried another one. Basically the reason I had to keep changing my birth controls is because I kept spotting in between, you know, my periods, and then it would work for a little bit, like throughout the months. Like I said, you have to take a birth control pill for about 4 to 6 months each time you take a new one, and it would like be fine for like maybe 1-2 months, and then around the 3rd and 4th month, or maybe 4th and 5th month, I would start to spot, and I would start to have that pain again. When I talk about that pain, it's so hard for me to like, okay, where my belly button is, to the right of that, it's like right where, I guess it's kind of like your hip bone, I don't know, something. I was having pain there. I have pain there on a regular basis. When I asked the doctor, I was like, okay, I'm having this pain. Like, that's why I went to the doctor in the first place, is because I was having that pain, but like worse than normal. Oh, okay, I'm having that pain right now. Ow. It's like I summoned the pain. What it feels like is like a twinge of pain. The way I described it to some people is like, it's not a cramp. It's not necessarily a cramp type of pain. It's like a twinge. That's literally how I would describe this pain. It comes and goes, and then like it'll just like be randomly like, ooh, the pain, you know, ooh. So that's what it feels like. Not fun. When I went to the doctor, they didn't even like they weren't even concerned about it. They were like, oh, well, why don't we check that out? Why don't we like do tests or whatever? They were just like, let's put you on birth control. So that kind of like annoyed me because I'm like, I don't want to just like mask the issue. I want to like figure out what's going on and like take care of it. Like if it's a cyst, if it's like endometriosis, if it's I don't know what the heck. I'm not a doctor. Whatever it is, I wanted to get it figured out and taken care of. But instead it was just like, okay, well, let's just try birth control and see if that works, because like I said, what I thought was ovulation pain, and that's what birth control does, is it stops ovulation. And so like, thus, if we stopped ovulation, I wouldn't have the pain, but I kept having the pain. I don't know. It was a big back and forth. Like it was a struggle. It was annoying. That's why I was like, okay, I can't do this anymore, because I was like, it's annoying me. And I just kept having to try different birth control. So I was just like, I can't do this anymore. Like, it's not working. So I went off of it. When I first went off of birth control, I had the worst headaches, like even migraine level headaches. It was terrible. Also, when I mentioned that I just remembered right now, I got put on a different birth control. One of the many birth controls that I had, maybe it was like the third or something, I don't know. I went to a different doctor, and he was a more popular doctor there, and it was kind of just like, okay, in and out. It just kind of, it didn't seem like I had a lot of time with him, and I didn't really have his attention. It was just kind of more like, oh, you need birth control, here's the prescription, bye. You know, it didn't feel like sit down like, tell me your issues, what's going on, what do you need? You know what I mean? That birth control was terrible. I've never had a migraine before, but I had migraines when I was on that pill, because the hormones were not what they needed to be, so something was either too high or too low. Hello, I'm currently editing this video, and I wanted to clarify this little part, but it's too long to type out, so I'm just gonna explain it here. So I ended up going to yet another doctor, and I went to a female who I'm still currently seeing her. She was amazing, love her so much. So when I went to see her, because I was having the headaches and stuff from the birth control pill, she was like, oh, this is what you've been taking? Like, that's too like strong of a pill for me. Of course, that one doctor that like didn't really even like bother to care about like what was going on, of course he would just be like, yeah, here, whatever. And it was just like, yeah, that was obviously not the right pill for me. So long story short, the new doctor I went to basically told me that that other doctor prescribed a way too strong pill for me, and that's why I was having all these issues. So yeah, different room now, still editing. After that first clip, it made me like think about it more, and I thought about it more, and I realized that going to that second doctor, because I've been to 3 doctors for this issue, this one issue that seems pretty simple to deal with, the second doctor, it just like thinking back about it, it was just not a pleasant experience at all. I only saw him once, and it wasn't a good experience. From what I remember from it, it was literally like such a short encounter, and he came in with, I think, 2 other like nurses or people in training or whatever, so it didn't really feel like I had that personal thing of like, you know, a doctor and just me and like talking about my issues and like caring. It was just kind of like, he came in and maybe I talked about like the issue for like a little bit and was like, this is what I need, or this is what I'm trying to fix or whatever. And like, he wanted to do one thing that I didn't want to do, and so then he was just like, well, here, I'll prescribe you this pill, and obviously it wasn't the right pill for me, and it just kind of like, it genuinely, like, I still feel like a bit mad about it, because, not mad, but just like, if I hadn't have seen him, I would have avoided a lot of like health issues, because of that pill, I had migraines a lot, and I would get these terrible headaches, and it would make me get sick. At least a few times that happened where the migraine was so bad I got sick, and it was just like annoying, because knowing that if I had never have taken that pill that he prescribed to me, I would never have had to go through that. It's just, it's just like annoying to think of, you know, that all of that could have been avoided. So, yeah. So I don't know what the lesson is out of that. I guess just, be more careful when you pick your doctors, I guess. I haven't had a migraine before then, but they were horrible, terrible headaches. I remember a specific day I was in school and I was having one of those headaches towards the end of the day, and I had to go wait for my mom to pick me up after school. And I went to the library across the street, and I was like, oh, I'm gonna try to work on homework. I couldn't work on homework. I couldn't do anything. I couldn't eat. I couldn't drink. The pain was so bad. I had such a terrible headache. I just had to like, I tried to listen to one of those like, oh, listen to this weird sound that takes migraines away. I was like listening to that for like 30 minutes. Then I just had to put my head down because it hurt so bad. It was so miserable. That was not fun. But when I first went off of it, because that's kind of what happens when you go off of any like hormone replacement type of thing, is you get headaches because it's withdrawal. I would say the first couple weeks that I went completely off of birth control, I didn't taper off or anything, I just completely stopped. I had pretty bad headaches, like, not gonna lie. They were pretty bad, but I mean, I was able to get through, obviously, you know, just take pain medicine or whatever. One thing I was worried about is like, I looked up, I was like, you know, when you get your normal period again, and some people were like, oh, sometimes it takes like 2 months or even 3 months, but if it's longer than that, like, you know, you want to go see a doctor. So I was worried about like, what if my period doesn't come back? What if it's not normal? Like, oh my gosh, what's gonna happen? Like, oh my gosh. So I was freaking out about that because, you know, hello, I have anxiety, so, you know, and my periods are heavier now, and I'm having like more cramps and stuff and more like PMS symptoms. So basically everything that I had when I was on the birth control pill, like, it kind of helped tone down those symptoms. It's like if it was on a dial, you know, and you could do it to like 1, none or minimal symptoms, and 10 being maximum. I would say my average symptoms are probably like a 6 or 7, and on the birth control pill it probably toned it down to a 4, 3, 5, depending on, you know, when it was or whatever. So that's kind of the only difference that I would say. It didn't the birth control pill didn't completely take away any cramps or PMS by any means, for me at least. Another thing I noticed when I went on birth control is that my periods were actually more regular before I went on birth control than they were when I started taking it, which is kind of weird to me because typically that's why a lot of people take it, is to help regulate their periods. But for me, when I went on it, my period just was like, when's it gonna happen? Who knows? Another thing that happened after I went off of it is obviously my fellow friend acne, which is not a friend, more of an unwelcome guest if you ask me. But you know what? We just gotta deal with her because what there's nothing else to do. So that's one thing. One good thing I noticed when I was on the birth control is that since it was giving me regular hormones every day, like the same amount every day, it helped regulate my acne and breakouts. Didn't take them away, I still had them occasionally, but it definitely helped them be minimalized, I would say. The other thing I would say, I don't quite know if this is from the birth control or the just like lifestyle changes I made, but I actually did lose 10 pounds like since February. Between February and now, I've lost about like 10 pounds. I haven't done anything really. I wasn't really trying to lose weight per se, but I lost some weight, which, I mean, you know, my weight fluctuates, so whatever. But that's one thing that a lot of people say, is that they gain weight when they're on birth control. So I don't know if I lost weight from going off of it, because I actually did make some diet changes. I like started to eat smaller portions, and I started to try and eat healthier, and I did actually go like without sugar for a while. Like, I've been eating a lot less sugar, so I don't know if it's from the birth control or if it's from my lifestyle changes, but I just thought I would include that because I don't know. All that to say, this is my story of birth control and my experience with it, and the doctors and the pills and the side effects and the after stopping it. So Would I ever take it again? Yeah, I would. I wouldn't be opposed to it. But I would definitely be sure to ask more questions, and I would definitely go in with the thought of just like wanting to get an answer and not just, because that's my whole thing, and my mom's always felt this way too, is like rather than just to like mask or put a band-aid over the issue, we want to like dig deeper and figure out what's causing the issue. So that's definitely what I would do, is I would just kind of like ask more questions next time and like ask what else I could do, you know? I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you did, please be sure to give it a thumbs up and subscribe down below for more if you haven't already. I hope you guys have a wonderful day, and until next time, bye!